When I was around 16, I went to Nicaragua where my mother was born. I spent a year learning Spanish since my family there only spoke Spanish. I was excited to go to another country since I had never left the States, but what I would see there would remain etched in my mind for the rest of my life. The area in which we stayed was beautiful. My aunt lived in a beautiful plantation-style house. There were quite a few sugarcane fields that dominated most of the neighborhood where she lived. It was July 22nd. I only remember the date because it was my grandma's birthday. The hot night began as any other. Everyone was eating, drinking, dancing, whatever goes on at a party. Later into the early hours of the morning, me and my two cousins, Connie and Roger, were hanging out in the yard talking, when suddenly we heard laughter coming from the front of the house. The laughter of children. Knowing that the 3 children of the house were asleep, we dismissed it. A few minutes later, we heard it again. Isn't it a little late for kids to be out? I asked my cousin, who nodded in agreement. We decided we would scare them since we were bored. We got our flashlights and proceeded to the front of the house. The laughter grew closer and we saw 2 little boys running and playing down the road. We decided we would hide and jump out at them to scare them, only it would be us who would be getting scared. They got closer and closer, their laughter growing louder. 1, 2, 3. We jumped out and turned our flashlights on and yelled, "What are you doing out so late?" The boys were not startled. They looked up at us and my blood ran cold. I couldn't breathe and heard my pulse thumping loudly in my ear. They stood there staring at us. No more laughter. Blood was dripping down their faces. One had almost half his face torn off. Blood poured from their shredded clothing and one was missing the fingers on his right hand. There was a gurgled cry and then our flashlights died and the boys disappeared. As soon as the shock wore off, we ran into the house in hysterics asking if we had all just seen the gruesome sight, hoping it was just our imagination. No, it was real. Connie and I slept together that night. The laughter again came from the road in front of the house, followed by the same gurgled scream. My heart was beating out of my chest and my stomach was in knots. Finally, sleep managed to overcome me. The next morning we were eating breakfast while my aunt and grandma were watching TV. "Oh God, how horrible," I heard my aunt say. Connie, Roger, and I got up to see what was on the TV that was so horrible. It was the news. They found 2 young boys mauled to death by wild dogs in one of the sugarcane fields. One was 10, the other 11 years old, and they were killed 2 nights ago. They showed 2 side-by-side photos of the boys when they were alive. They were the same boys we saw the night before. This happened 5 years ago, but the memories are as vivid as that night.